What's up, y'all? It's your girl Cornelia back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. So there was a New York Times article that has been making its rounds. And in the article, it discusses, hi, by the way. Okay. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. What's up? The New York Times article discusses Black men specifically as it relates or pertains to being educated in college admissions and around HBCUs. Now, I'm going to read the title of the article or the synopsis. I'm going to also read another sentence, and then I'm going to play a video that was posted to TikTok by Teray. Teray, if y'all don't know Teray, you probably know Teray. He is a music journalist. He's an author. Has done interviews with hip hop artists. He is a part of Black culture in regards to cultural commentary, history, and all of that good stuff. To make it more specific, and I know y'all remember this, when y'all favorite artist back in the day, the PP Man, did an interview. Torre was the one who interviewed him and said, "Do you like underage girls?" And then the PP Man said, "How young we talking?" Y'all, I know you remember that. When you say young, how young you talking? Okay, but let me read this. At Black colleges, a stubborn gender enrollment gap keeps growing. Only 19% of students at Howard University are Black men, whose enrollment levels at four-year colleges have plummeted across the board. And then another sentence I want to read. Black men account for 26% of the students at HBCUs, down from an already low 38% in 1976. Okay, so let me play this video and we gonna get into this discussion. We gonna start the podcast off with it because this has been on my spirit. A couple people already flagged this and sent me the article or the TikTok or the Instagram video. Shout out to y'all. My homegirl Laquita was the first one who sent it to me after, literally right after I saw it. And y'all, and listen, hey, we got to get into it. Okay, so I'm gonna play this video and we're gonna discuss. If it's long, I'm sorry, but we gotta hear him out to put some context to this.
Black men are not attending college, and this is a horrendous trend. The number of Black men at four-year colleges has plummeted, and at Howard University, there are as many non-Black students as there are Black men. Howard is just 19% Black men. There's an array of reasons why this is happening, but the number one thing sociologists point to is something they call the belief gap, that a lot of young Black men don't believe that they can or should be able to handle college intellectually or financially. Guys, college is a critical part of gaining the intellectual skills you need to get into the middle class. Black women have known for years and years that they need degrees to overcome racism and misogyny and get as far as they can in life. And they have become the most educated demographic in the country. But leaving Black men out of that trend means a lot of potential wealth that could go into the Black community won't go into the Black community because people who could have become middle class professionals and intellectuals will not be able to make that leap.
I have so many thoughts about this. First of all, this is really disheartening. This is really disheartening. And I will preface this. When I went to Hampton, shout out to Hampton University, okay, the best HBCU, there was always like this running joke about the ratio of women versus men on campus. Because for a man, this is the ideal scenario that they could get themselves into. They will always be like the ratio 6-1, the ratio 10-1, the ratio 20-1. How it was hella women on that campus in comparison to the men. But it wasn't, if I'm remembering correctly, it was nowhere near only 26% of Black men on that campus. So at this point in 20, and again, I graduated in what is it? What the fuck I graduated? 2004, y'all. So for us to be in 2025 and to be here, This is disheartening, but I will not say that I'm 100% shocked due to everything happening around us and due to current trends and what seems to be appealing to young people. But overall, this is bad. This is really bad, okay? I don't care what people got to say. I don't care how you slice it. This is really bad. And I say that because I am a believer that everyone, especially every Black child, should go to college whether they want to or not, or whether they have an interest in it or not. I understand trade schools are just important and we need people to go into skilled trades, but for me, based on literacy in this country, I honestly think college 4 year, at least 2 years should be tacked on to the 12 years we already get and just be a mandatory part of education. Because baby, people coming up out these schools and they can't read, write, or spell. So you ain't gonna ever hear me be one of the people talking about you don't need college. You don't need college to get a job. I personally don't think college is designed or should be looked at to get a job. You are going to receive education. And when you step on campus, we not sitting up in class. We wasn't in classrooms sitting in cubicles mimicking or doing mock 9 to 5 work. You were receiving an education. You were learning critical thinking skills. You were building relationships. You were using problem solving skills. You were navigating the world as an adult on your own. You were learning how to interact with, work with the opposite sex, and maintain professional and working relationships with them. There's so many. You were learning how to dress appropriately for the type of roles or the type of life you want to be a part of. There's so many aspects of college that I feel like is needed. And also, I would say this two part one. The reason why I keep saying that whole conversation about that's being pushed that you don't need college, baby, that ain't for Black people. That is not for us. And I would look at our brothers and sisters of other demographics to look at. We Black American people are the only demographic within this country that is encouraged not to receive higher education. I don't know nobody, any of my friends of other demographics whose parents, friends, or family have tried to discourage them against going to college. None of my African friends, none of my Southeast Asian friends, none of my Native friends, none of my Jewish friends, none of my Hispanic friends, none of my friends of other demographic, Taiwanese, Korean. I got a Korean homegirl that I have never in my life heard anybody in America's family or friends or just community outside of Black Americans encourage their kids to not get an education. There may be one off, but as a community, we're the only ones doing that shit. Also, if rich people still sending their kids to school, you need to ask why people who already have children, who already put their kids in a position of affluence or opportunity and privilege, will still send their kids to college. And I don't want to hear the Mark Zuckerbergs, them one off where he didn't finish. Yeah, but when he was there, the boy was at Howard, they was at Stanford, they was at Yale. Like, don't play with me. Okay. Now, what is the reason? Okay, what is the reason? It could be very baseline. It could be cost, because the cost of college is out of this world. And if we really want to get into it, y'all know racism is baked into everything. Before Black people, before segregation, and before Black people started going to college in schools that weren't primarily PWI and white specific, you could afford college. Don't get me started about racism in education. But it is very expensive to go to school. Now, granted, I don't have children and teenagers, and I'm not actively looking at college costs, but I know it costs a lot. So, a lot of people feel like they don't want to take on a lot of debt for college and essentially not be able to get a job good enough to pay the money back. So I acknowledge that that is a big problem, right? I also don't know what it is like to now go in state versus out of state. Back in the day, in state, depending on which state, child, you can go to in state for hella cheap. I'm willing to bet that ain't the case. But people do have options. You can do 2 years of community college, then you transfer to another to a 4-year institution. You can get scholarships. Some people can't get any either of those, so their options are limited. However, I'm wondering if immediately because of the price, people and in this conversation, black men or young boys are saying, "You know what? I don't even want to try. I'm not going to be able to get in, so I'm not going to even attempt because I can't even pay for it." But on another level, we often talk a lot about literacy in this country and how the majority of Americans can't read past the 5th grade level. I'm wondering, and another creator, I didn't catch her name, she mentioned something to the extent of being in education and seeing that a lot of kids, because they can't read well and they're not good in school, they psych themselves out and don't even want to enroll because they're scared because they have to overcome not just cost and all these other things. Baby, they can't read. Okay. So is it that? If we look at and break down the literacy and illiteracy rates by demographic, gender, race, ethnicity, all of that, will we see trends that heavily skew towards Black girls and boys that can point to why the numbers are dwindling? Because you can have all the intention in the world. But again, if you don't feel confident in yourself and you are scared to even take the leap or feel like you can finish school or even do well or thrive in that environment, I can see a 17-year-old being like, "Nah, I'm not even going to try." On top of people's parents, friends, and family discouraging them, because let's not get it twisted. A lot of times it's people's own communities who are discouraging them. Let me tell y'all, I in high school, my school counselor, and I'm gonna call him out, Mr. Crouch. People loved Mr. Crouch. They loved him. Thought he was fantastic. Been at the school for years. Everybody has something good to say about Mr. Crouch, but I will never forget when it was time for me to start preparing and applying for colleges. I told Mr. Crouch that I wanted to go to Hampton. I said, "I'm going to go to Hampton University. This is my plan. I don't want to go nowhere else." And he said to me, "Well, I don't think you're going to be good enough to get into the school that you want to get into. So you should just do the on-site admissions for Michigan State because you can probably just get into there and go there." I said, "What?" He was like, you shouldn't even waste your time. I just don't think you're going to get in." And I literally walked out of his office and in my mind said, "Who the fuck?" Like, and I used to cuss back in it. I used to cuss, okay, when I was a kid. I was like, "Who the fuck do he think he is? Who says that to a child? Who says that to a teenager trying to prepare for the next phase of your life? How dare you discourage someone? Even if you don't believe that it can happen for a young person, why would you say that to somebody? Why not help them, give them some tools that you feel like it would be useful in order to get them where they need to go?" He didn't offer no suggestions. He didn't offer no words of encouragement. He didn't offer me no plan, put nothing. He literally said that to me and sent me on my way. And guess what? I got into the school. I also never went back and seeked his counsel. I literally did everything on my own. I literally was like, "You know what? You're useless. You are literally useless." And I just did it myself. So when I talk about community and people being encouraging, that can also be people at school who are hindrance to your children. Another thing that I saw when I was looking through the comments on a lot of these videos talking about this, one person brought up this whole idea of being the man of the house. And young boys and young men feeling like they can't go to college because they have to help pay the bills. They got to help take care of their families. They have to help provide. So, how am I supposed to learn how to read? How am I supposed to get excited about college? How am I supposed to leave my family and go somewhere for 4 years when we can't keep the lights on without me? Which is again another unfortunate situation because we are putting expectations and pressure on our children that don't belong to them. And also, we just heard Tori say this, and we've known this. Yes, you can make money and make a living and provide for your family and live a wonderful life having only gone to trade schools, but that does not change the fact that statistically the quickest and most shored up way for black people to obtain a middle class status in America is with a 4-year college degree. Again, go. I love trade school. Go to if you want to electrician. We need people to be pursuing skilled trades. But me personally, we also have to learn how to read and have to be educated, especially with this recent attack on education in America. Now, let me say all this to say in 6 months, none of this could literally matter because the way Project 2025 is set up, baby, ain't none of us gonna be going to school. If you got your degree, you good. Anybody trying to get it? So all of this could be out of the window. But I would love us to figure out ways where we can get to the root of the problem and hurry up and right the ship because seeing how few of our black young men are going to college to receive higher education, this makes me really sad. I saw a picture from Hampton online posted somewhere where they took a picture of one of the white coat ceremonies. It could have been either nursing, pharmacy, one of the ceremonies on campus. And it was like 95% black women. Now I love that. Okay. But where are the men? Where are the young men? Okay, where are the young men? Let me know y'all thoughts about this though, because it just does not feel good, and I don't like it at all. So, what's the solution? What is the solution? Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about it. You can find me at Canelia on social media. I'm sure if you've been plugged in, you've also seen reports that an executive order came down that is essentially targeting museums. And as it relates to us, the African American Museum, the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. The article or the publication, executive order, whatever the fuck we calling it, attached to it at the top was titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. It essentially is attempting to target museums that focus on Black history. And I'm going to summarize this because demographics that are not Black are ashamed and embarrassed by their role in slavery. Let's just keep it a buck, okay? Let's just keep it a buck. And this essentially puts us in a position where we don't know what's going to happen with the Smithsonian. Now, there are other things that are triggering to us or other things that are not, stuff that we just gonna go with the flow about. But this is really it's striking me because if you deem a group inferior, right? If you make it your life's work, if you go to sleep at night thinking that you're the best and that all of these people and demographics are underneath you, I'm just not understanding why you would focus on them in anything they're doing at all. They're beneath you, right? If that's what you believe, why does it matter? And I'm saying that for us because this is further evidence of how powerful Black people, Black history, and our Black presence is. If nothing show you how powerful we are and other people know how powerful we are, it is these deliberate attacks on everything to do with our just our being and our lives. Because if someone literally is weak and don't matter and all these things, you can let them do whatever the fuck they want. It doesn't matter. Ain't nothing gonna shake unless you know something is actually gonna shake. So when we talk about logistically, like, what does this mean, right? We just don't know. We got to see what happens. Are they literally going to go through the museum and point out every way where someone who isn't black will feel bad about history? Does it mean that they'll essentially shut the whole building down? Does this mean that they will try to remove stuff and replace it with their own fabricated version of history? Honestly, what I think, and this is just me talking immediately, I haven't really thought this through tactically or other solutions. And again, if y'all have some ideas about what's next, please let me know. I think either A, because correct me if I'm wrong, is the Smithsonian, it's federally funded, right? Who, I know there were donors and things, but where does the money come from to keep the building open? And where did the money come from to get it off the ground? I feel like some celebrities put in some dollars on this. Did that happen? If so, I'm wondering if A, the billionaires, the millionaires, the people with money can pay the costs to essentially take over or finance the museum. Is that an option? Right? Because if it's federally funded, okay, baby, we make sure it ain't funded no more. We fund it ourselves, self-funded. Right? Like other museums, right? Like the Oscars Museum or Grammy Museum. Like it's not federally funded. At least I don't think those are federally funded. Or option B, you know what? And just to say, you know what? You got it. And us essentially seeking out places abroad that will hold the artifacts and have them sit on it while we go through this turmoil within the country so we don't risk damage or anything bad actually happening to the exhibits and the artifacts. People whose families donated artifacts to be in the museum, give them their stuff back, let them hold it. Artists and musicians who have exhibits in there, like I know there's a Spike Lee exhibit, Spike take his stuff back and he hold it for a little while. Everybody get their stuff back. The other artifacts are safely and securely housed somewhere, and that's it. And that's not to say it's a giving up option like we're resigning to defeat. But you know what? You got it. Like you okay. Yeah, okay, shut it down. Because essentially what people are looking for is a fight. They looking for a fight. They looking for us to protest. They looking for us to come out in the street so then they can have the police in riot gear. Here come the tanks showing up in the conveniently placed piles of bricks on the side of the street so somebody can throw them. We know the game. So now it's about, so okay, great. So what's next for us? Because what I don't want to see is one day I turn on the news and I don't be watching the news, but I'm saying the news like somebody clip it on social media for me to grab and see some bum ass whoever's walking into the museum on a quest to destroy all of our stuff. That's what I don't want. So who knows? It's another day, another dollar, but these are the things that we need to start thinking about. Like, okay, great. Okay, that's what y'all want to do. How do we make the best or protect our stuff, if you will? But hey, that's whatever. And it's not just Black History Museum. I read they were trying to come after the Native American Museum. Like the Native Americans. Come on now. Like just it's absurd. But let me know what y'all think about it, or if y'all have ideas, or know again about funding, or like the logistics around how the museum started, is funded, and still open. Hey, because we can keep discussing because I'm sure this gonna become a thing. Either way, hit me up. Y'all know where to find me. I'm at Canelia on social media. So I was gonna attempt to do like a full in-depth breakdown behind why LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith beefing. But when I was like gathering stuff, I just don't give it. I just don't care. Okay, y'all. Let me, y'all. I just do not care. I do not care. Okay. I cared a little bit when Stephen A. Smith got ran up on by LeBron at the game. It was a game, and apparently LeBron was pissed because he got tired of Stephen A. Smith talking about his son, or he got tired of him talking about how he is fathering his son. He got rolled up on, and then after the fact, Stephen A. Smith was going on his media tangents and blitzes talking about he would have gave LeBron them hands. Sir, like after that, I was like, this is getting out of control. It seemed to be back and forth. LeBron was on a sports show talking about it. Then Stephen A. Smith was going on and on talking about it. Then he started saying how LeBron didn't go to Kobe funeral, but he was actually at Kobe funeral. Then just didn't want the cameras to show him. Talking about his friendship with D Wade. Just a bunch of stupid nonsense that I don't care about. I had the potential to care. Okay, I had the potential. But when Stephen A said he would have hit the cap, socked him or something, I was like, okay, this is enough. Okay, that man's 60. Like, come on, enough. LeBron's 6'8". Okay, no. So in place of that, because I just can't. I want to talk about a couple things, a couple shows that are coming that I'm really excited about, and also something that I watched. So one, I saw randomly today, and I'm shocked that I wasn't abreast on this earlier. That Netflix ordered a pilot request for a different world sequel. Y'all, what? Hello. Did y'all know this? Did y'all know this? I literally did not know this. So let me break it down. First of all, Netflix, if y'all don't know anything about pilot season and pilots in network television, essentially, the first episode of every television show is considered a pilot. Networks and studios usually during pilot season, people audition, they get booked, pilots are shot. Those pilots are then shown to networks and they essentially buy them, or people shop them and networks buy them. Sometimes they'll buy a pilot, but then after a couple months, they decide, not going to go forward with this pilot, and we're not going to order it to series. So the pilot gets dropped. A lot of y'all's favorite celebrities have been attached to multiple pilots that never saw the light of day because eventually the networks just didn't buy them and pick them up. However, Netflix doesn't order pilots. If y'all notice about Netflix shows, when the show comes on Netflix, it's usually the full show. Netflix will order a series, but they don't get into the pilot business. They did in this instance, which could shake up the industry because now other studios probably like, dang, now Netflix got pilots too. We don't know what it's going to do, but this is very rare. But according to early reports, it's going to be following the story of Whitley and Dwayne's daughter on her journey through college at an HBCU. So Felicia Pride is the writer, executive producer, and the showrunner on the project. Showrunner is essentially they're running the show, kind of how Prentice Penny was the showrunner of Insecure. Issa Rae was an executive producer and she was the creator, but Prentice made sure the show ran. That's what the showrunner is. Debbie Allen, Mandy Summers, Tom Werner, Gina Prince Bythewood, and Reggie Bythewood also serve as executive producers. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be off, because Reggie Rock and Gina Prince Bythewood have been attached to a lot of black shows, some of our favorite black shows. Were they a part of the original A Different World? If so, this is hella dope. If not, they got some connection because child, every black writer and producer got connections to everything. So next they gotta cast and shoot the pilot, child. What? So I'm personally excited because y'all know A Different World is one of my favorite television shows. It is one of the reasons why I wanted to go to an HBCU. It shaped my view of what college was like and could be like. And I am very grateful for that. And it was just quality television at that time, right? They talked about all topics. Some were taboo at the time because this was the late 80s, early 90s. I've also met some of the cast and interviewed some, and they are all very, very lovely and very nice and kind. So, um, you know, I'm looking forward to this. But another thing that I watched, which is slightly related, but it's adjacent to this. Number one on the call sheet, which is a documentary series that is on Apple TV Plus, produced by Kevin Hart and Jamie Foxx. If you have Apple TV Plus, please watch this. If you are a fan of television and film and black actors and actresses and the story and the movement behind what it takes to become a star and be number one on the call sheet, I highly recommend it. Being number one on the call sheet means essentially you are top billing. You number one. When you book a show, movie, sketch, anything that's a production, you will receive a call sheet. Your call sheet gives you all of the information. It has what time you're supposed to be on set, where you got to arrive to. It has all of the actors, makeup, hair, makeup time, craft services, all contact information for everybody involved in the production. It's essentially your yellow pages and your instruction guide. But being number one on the call sheet means one, most cases, I say most, air quotes, because sometimes when black actors are number one on the call sheet, they could be number one in name and status, but that doesn't necessarily mean pay because of pay inequities. But what it's supposed to mean, you are the biggest star, you the lead, the story doesn't, it revolves, the story revolves around you. You're not just a part of it. You are the leader on set. You are sometimes the veteran in most cases, but it comes with a level of responsibility because you set the tone on that set. They spent a little time talking about Chadwick Boseman, and all of our favorites were featured. Right, for the men, there was Eddie Murphy, who was the big y'all. You don't realize Eddie Murphy was the biggest movie star in Hollywood, but he was. Eddie Murphy, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Samuel Jackson. Well, Samuel wasn't talking, but they talked a little bit about him. They had the younger stars, Daniel Kaluuya, Michael B. Jordan, and from the women we had Tessa Thompson, Gabrielle Union, Angela Bassett, Taraji P. Henson, Alfre Woodard. Just a wonderful Journey Smollett. Just a wonderful collective of our stars. But I was talking about they spent a little time talking about Chadwick. We're gonna use Chadwick Boseman as an example on Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman, number one on the call sheet, he set the tone for that movie on set. You the guy. Which, and I'm glad they talked about this because that led to the argument that I hate when people was talking about they should recast T'Challa right after Chadwick Boseman died. I hated that. Okay, let me tell y'all, I hated that. One, people don't realize what it all takes to cast something. Because essentially you think, oh, you just pick another actor, they get prepared, learn the lines, and show up on set. And I'm just speaking from assumptions of why the recasting T'Challa couldn't have worked as fast. It was already COVID. Chadwick Boseman passed away in 2020. They had to start shooting that in 2021. They were already behind. Ryan Coogler had a script already written, but he had to rewrite the script and have it ready to go by the time they were ready to start shooting in 2021. They also had to, this Marvel, you have to write the story in line with the overall plan and agenda for the Marvel phase that they were in. So it ain't just him writing the story that he want to write. Sure, he did, but they had to insert certain elements to keep the story going. So essentially, y'all wanted Ryan Coogler and them to simultaneously rewrite the full script and send it back and forth for edits, rewrites, all that stuff. Have auditions to find another actor right after the main actor passed away that everyone loved. Then do chemistry tests with the main actors because, again, if some people don't know this, when you book a role, depending on how big the role is, in this case, he's the number one person he's Black Panther. You have to screen test or chemistry test, which means the people that you are interacting with the most, they have to test to make sure y'all got chemistry. And sometimes they're not just chemistry testing one person. They're chemistry testing multiple people with multiple actors. So y'all wanted them to had auditions, multiple audition round, multiple, they're going through the casting, they're going through the casting director audition, then the producer audition, then the network audition, the studio audition for Kevin Feige, then have chemistry and screen tests with Lupita Nyong'o, Denai, and Letitia Wright and Angela Bassett. Pass the screen chemistry test, get the offer, then have contract negotiations. Because this ain't just this is Marvel. They got to look at licensing, toy right, amusement park. I'm sure people's agents looking under all those because, baby, this big time. So they got to do all that. Then once the person signs the contract, he has to get buff, learn karate, because Chadwick Boseman was karate chopping these N-words. And it wasn't just because of he knew how to do it. That's required for the role. You have to learn the accent. You work with the dialect coach. Do all of this within less than a year. Then show up on set wearing the costume of everybody's dead friend. Be so for real. That literally, to me, is impossible. But maybe I'm tripping, okay? Maybe I'm tripping. So they showed a little bit about Chadwick Boseman, about, him being number one on the call sheet and him and his presence and what that meant to people, which was a very touching moment because y'all know I love me some Chadwick Boseman. And I'm sorry I had to go on my little diatribe, but I need people to have perspective when they say that. Brian Coogler, they said they recasting T'Challa now, so everybody gonna get what they wanted, but to do it then was unrealistic. I hated it. But overall, it was a wonderful documentary, and I recommend everybody watching and supporting, because I feel like if you're a fan of movies and TV and our stars, it's gonna be a good time for you. It's gonna be emotional and it's gonna be a good time. But anyway, let me know if you saw that. Let me know if you heard about the Different World sequel. Or child, let me know if you know some more stuff about the LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith, because baby, I do not care. Okay. Either way, you can find me at Cornelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about the declining rates of Black men attending college and what the reasons could be behind that. We also talked about the recent executive order that is targeting museums, specifically the African American Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. We also quickly touched upon Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James beefing and how we really don't care about that. And then discussed an upcoming A Different World sequel and a documentary on Apple TV Plus called Number One on the Call Sheet. Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none. And I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, Thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.